Hey there, it's Jen, and I'm here to bring you a little video showing you my process of how I'm creating this project I'm making for the Read Story Kit for the Ali Edwards digital design team. So I wanted to first show you how I'm going to add some digital art to this photo that I took of me and my daughter's Harry Potter wands. So this, I knew when I saw the Read kit that I wanted to tell the story about how important Harry Potter is in our family, and this is going to take up more than just one layout can tell. So what I'm going to do is, my plan is to create a 8.5 by 11 layout, and in addition to that, I want to have a pocket page and maybe also an additional insert with more journaling. And so it's quite the little, it's like a little 3-part page. And the first part of it is going to be this 8.5 by 11 full photo page layout. So I'm using a combination of the digital kit as well as the physical kit, but I'll show you how you can use the digital kit here, and then anywhere that I use the physical kit, you can print things off and replace with the digital kit if that's what you have. So I have this photo of these two wands. Now I've already cropped this down to 8.5 by 11, and I am going to use a combination of some word art that I created because I wanted a custom title, and then as well as a digital stamp from the Read Story Kit. So what I have here is Wands at the Ready, which I just hand wrote and then digitized, and I'm going to use that for kind of the title of this layout. So I have it just in black, and I'm going to drag it over onto my photo. It's already pretty much the size that I want it, and I'm going to put it down here toward the bottom. I'm going to have some journaling up here at the top, and so I'm going to, I think, place my title toward the bottom. Now, in addition to this, I knew that I wanted to use this word always, because if you've read Harry Potter, you know the significance of the word always to Harry Potter and to that story. And so I definitely want to use this word art that says always. So I'm going to drag that on as well. Now this is really large, and I actually thought about just using the word always on and not using the word wands or the title Wands at the Ready, and just using the large word always at the bottom of this layout, which I also like. But Wands at the Ready is something that I always say, and so I really wanted to use that as well. So I'm going to use them in conjunction, and I'm just going to make the word always a lot smaller. And I like the way that you can tell they're different because mine's handwritten, and then this one is a typed font. And so I'm just going to make it nestle in next to the Y here, and I'm going to just kind of put it up in here, and I'll just click the check mark when I have it the way I want it. So I like the way that looks, although I'm feeling like I want a period at the end of Wands at the Ready and at the end of the word always. And so I'm just going to grab my text tool. Let's do this one, Courier New Regular. And that's going to give me a nice circular period, and I'll just put that at the end here. And I'm not like a Photoshop expert. I don't know a lot about what I'm doing, so I just make things up. Okay, so I'm going to just type another one, but I want it to be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to change it to 48 point font and then put a period. And then I will move it a little bit so that it's next to the word always. I think that might still be a little bit too big. No, that will work. Okay, I like that. Now I'm going to move it all down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do now is just type up some journaling. And for my journaling, I like to use a small font, and I'm going to use Courier New Regular, and that's just a font that I really like to use. It's just simple, and it's kind of like a typewriter, and I'm sure every computer has it. So I'm just going to drag myself a text box. So I just have the text tool selected, and I kind of want the text to weave in around the wands and come and down and nestle in to the word wands. And so I'm going to just drag my text box so it kind of overlaps a little bit, and I'll just hit enter on my keyboard where I need to. So I'm going to make this a lot smaller. I'm going to make it a 12-point font. And we'll see if that's enough for me to get the words that I want to on here. So I'm going to go ahead and type that up, and then I will come back. Okay, so I thought I would show you how I'm going to use this digital silkscreen lines file from Allie's Read Story Kit this month. And I'm going to use both sides of this and show you how I'm going to put them together to print out some 3x4 cards that I'm going to journal on for a pocket page that I'm doing in conjunction with my 8.5 by 11 full page. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I want to crop this down to 3x4. So I'm just going to take my crop tool, and I already have it set to width, height, and resolution, and it's set at 3x4 at 300 pixels. And so what I want to do is just highlight the side that I want, and I'm going to make it slightly smaller. Oops, not that small. I just want to make it so that the lines are pretty even all the way around. Okay. Let's move it up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so then I'm just going to check that box. I'm going to open a new document, and I'm going to size it to 3x4. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull this out so that it's a separate window. And let me just make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to keep my lines black, so I'll just leave them the way they are. And I'm going to just grab the Move tool, and I'm going to click on this and drag it over to my new document. And then I'll just line it up so that it's centered, and that is good to go. Okay, so now I want to use the other lines. So I don't know if this is the easiest way to do it, but this is how I do it. And I just step backwards, so I just do Command Z until I get back to the original document. And then I'm going to crop it. And I'm going to crop the other side this time. So I'm going to just move this over. Okay, so this one I'm going to change to really light gray lines. So what I'm going to do is just, for me, this is the way that I do it. I just go up to, make sure I have it selected. Don't crop. Okay, I go up to Image, Adjustments, and then I go to Hue, Saturation. And then I can just lighten it. So since I just want it gray, I'm just going to lighten this. If I wanted to change it to a color, I can click on this little box that says Colorize, and then I can change this to different colors. I just need to up the saturation and make it a little bit lighter. And then I can move this slider to make it any color I want. And then I can make it, like if I wanted a really soft green color, I could do it like that. But like I said, I am going to just make it gray, so I'm going to make it really light and click OK. And now I'm going to drag this over to the same document that I have the other lines on. And I'm just going to line these up. So I think I need to make it, I thought that they lined up, but I don't think they do. Okay, what I'm going to do is because I still want that look, I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to pull the other layer on top. So in my layers palette over here, you just move this stuff. I'm just going to move this one up, and then I have my lines on top, and I actually kind of like that sketchy look. And now that I have it on there, I'm wondering if this would look cool with a color, so I might try to change that color. So you can still do it after you drag it. Let's see, let's choose Colorize. I kind of like this blue color that it's on, actually. I'm going to make it really light. I'm going to saturate it a little bit more and click OK. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to print these out, and I'm going to print 6 of them because that's how many I need. And then I will go ahead and show you what I'm going to do with these. Hey guys, so before I get started on putting this together, I just wanted to show you my plan for how I'm going to lay everything out. So my first page is going to start on the back of this 8.5 by 11. I'll have another layout from another time on this side of it, but it's going to start here. And then it will flip into this little insert, which is a really weird size. This is from a basic gray capture album. It's like 6.5 by 9.5. It's something like that. So this is just a photo I took of all of my Harry Potter books. You can see they're well loved and worn. And then I added this digital stamp from the digital read kit here. And I plan to add some embellishment here. I plan to also add some embellishment here on this layout. And then on the back of this layout, it's going to have 5 lessons that I learned from Harry Potter, and I'm just going to do that, I think, on a piece of white cardstock. And I plan to use the little numbers that are on this, on the chipboard sheet that come on in the physical kit, but you could also print it all up and use the digital circles as well. That would look just as good. And then finally, so this is a little bit of a larger page, but I don't care. Like, they're all 3 different sizes, and that's fine with me. So this one is going to have 6 photos of ways that Harry Potter has touched our lives, kind of like how it has influenced and impacted our lives. And so I just have these 6 photos. Now, these 2 photos I went and took specifically for this layout, but the rest of the photos were things I had posted on Instagram previously. Some of them are not amazing. Some of them are super old, like this one, for example. And so I just wanted to point out the fact that it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. This one I did for when I was doing like a photo a day thing on Instagram. Like, this was several years ago, and so there's text on the photo that I had put on Instagram, and so that's going to go in there. This one is the illustrated version of Harry Potter, so that's going to go in there. This is my daughter did a school report, like a book report on Harry Potter, and some of the things that she learned I absolutely loved, and so I'm including a photo of that. This is a photo of the last Harry Potter premiere that we got to go to. Again, just watching Harry Potter at home. I think this was also from this same premiere, but I'm going to talk about how my father-in-law carved wands for my daughter and I. And then in this one, this is a quote that I hand-lettered and posted on Instagram on the day that Alan Rickman died. And so I'm going to talk about that. So for each one of these, this page protector is a design J from Becky Higgins, and I'm just going to place these photos into the page protector in no particular order. They're not going to be like in numerical. What is the word I'm looking for? They're not going to be in chronological order is what I'm trying to say. And then next to each one, I have these cards that I printed off that I showed you before. I actually decided to make the lines a light gray instead of black. And so they're going to go here next to each one. And I'll write about how each one of these photos impacted a way that Harry Potter impacted our lives. And then anywhere where I don't have a ton to say, I just plan to embellish with some more of these chipboard pieces or some of these stickers that came in the kit or some of the speech bubbles. So that is my plan, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put you on fast forward while I kind of just put this together, because it's not going to, what's going to take the longest is the writing, and I already have written down, like, this is the bulk of my writing that I had to actually think about. The rest of it will be fairly easy. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this together with you and show you how it all comes together in the end. So I'm going to start with that first page and just place a little something in the corner to embellish it. I thought about either the Please Read chipboard or the one that says Currently Reading. I decided to use Currently Reading. I like the way it filled the space, but I crossed out Currently and wrote Always. because I am always reading Harry Potter. And then I move on to the next page. And I know that on this one, I wanted to leave some space for some of those speech bubbles. And so I just pulled 3. Now they're all white and it's going to be white on white. So I decide to outline them. And I'm just trimming off. There's some little pieces where, you know how sometimes die cuts have those little edges poking out where it was cut. I just trimmed those off on each one. And then I'm just outlining it with my favorite black Muji pen. And that helps them stand out, but it's still, they don't take up a whole lot of weight on the page, and I like the lightness of the white, and so that works for me. I wanted to use some of the darker, like the colored speech bubbles, but they didn't say the words that I wanted. So now I'm going to move on to that last layout. Well, I'm kind of like ADD. I move from one thing to the next. I get distracted. So I'm coming back to that one with the books and just placing all of those speech bubbles up on some foam squares. And it's just thin foam, so it's not going to bulk it up too much. And I'm just going to place all of those down. I decided to place the middle one up a little bit, and then it left an awkward space. So I just filled it with a chipboard piece that says Instant Classic. And I thought that was very fitting. So now I'm going to work on the back of that page. And the back of that, like I mentioned before, is where I'm going to list five lessons that Harry Potter taught me. And I kind of jotted some down. Some of them I found on Pinterest, and some of them I just made up. But the ones that I found on Pinterest, I definitely agreed with. So I'm just cutting down a piece of white cardstock to fit that same weird 6.5 by 9.5 size or whatever it is. And now I'm trying to decide how I want to write out this lessons learned from Harry Potter. So I thought first that I would try those green letter stickers from Allie's, from the Read Story Kit this month. And I do like place them all down, and I like the way that they look, but they're just a little bit too green for the rest of the layout and for the rest of what I'm doing. So I end up not going with these. Plus, the font that I decided to pair them with because I wanted the word Harry Potter to be in a different font. I'm using a lot of letters here, so I couldn't just use all of the green stickers, or I would have done that. So I'm creating another S because I need 3 and there are only 2, and I'm just creating it out of an ampersand. That's what I'm doing off to the side there. And it works okay. Like, it doesn't look exactly the same, but it's good enough for me. But here's where I run into a problem. So first of all, I thought I would hand write out the words Harry Potter. And I thought that could work because I have some hand lettered stuff on that third layout you can see. And then on the first one, I used a hand lettered quote to do wands at the ready. So I thought, that could work, but I'm not loving the way it looks. And so I'm just looking through some of my letter stickers to see if I can find something else. And I'm going to skip ahead to where I do find something. So you can see that I used some gray Project Life stickers, and I like the way that looks. I'm still trying to decide if I like the way the green looks with it. And in the end, I decided to take those green letters away, and I thought that they were too close to the same size as the gray ones, and I don't know, there was something about it I just wasn't loving. So I'm trying to come up with a different solution right now, and I thought about using one of the 4x6 cards, and I don't, but it gives me another idea. I thought of writing all of my journaling on a 4x6 card, but instead what I decide to do is to trace around the journaling card and handwrite some lines. And this is a very Allie-inspired thing to do. So I'm just using a .08 pen, so it's a little bit of a thicker tip, and I'm just kind of loosely tracing around that square. It's a 4x6 square, and now I'm going to draw some journaling lines, and I'm just going to freehand draw them, and I will fill this in with all of my journaling for this layout. And I end up putting the circles kind of in between the lines. You'll see how I do that here in just a second. So I really like the way that looks, and the word the words Harry Potter fit right on top of it. I decide finally that I'm going to handwrite the words lessons learned from, and I'm just going to use my favorite black Muji pen to do that, and I like the way that ends up looking. And then I will also use that for my journaling. So I decide to use that next chapter chipboard banner at the top. And I don't know that the next chapter phrase really fits, but it fits the space, so I decide to go with it anyway. And now I am just writing down those life lessons. So I'm just adhering one circle at a time, so I can take up however many lines I need for each one and then writing them in. Now that second one, the number 2, I accidentally peeled the chipboard away from the adhesive, so I just glued it back down. And most of these are going to take up 2 to 3 lines, and then I'll have a few lines left over at the end that I'm just going to kind of write some thoughts about how I'm excited to keep learning lessons from Harry Potter. So I've already learned, these ones, and there are many more to come. So just sticking down each circle, writing out the lessons, and like I mentioned, I previously wrote down the lessons, and then I am just kind of expounding on them a little bit as I write stuff down. And I'm not worrying too much. This is freehand writing. Like, I don't usually think ahead, and I'm not going to do that when I journal later either. I just don't think ahead. And I can always make it work. So it's all good. So here's where I'm writing those few lines to fill up the space. And then I'm going to stamp the date, and I'm stamping the date that I wrote it because I figured that if I wanted to, I could come back in and add more things to this and just stamp the date from that day. So now I'm going to get to work on this last little layout, and I decided to use those acetate numbers on each one of my photos, and I'm just going to staple each one on. And then so I'll do that very first, and some of them I had a little bit of a hard time deciding where to put the number, especially this one where I have the big 8 o'clock on there. That was the time of day. Like I said, I pulled these off of my Instagram, and I didn't care to look harder for these photos. I was just going to go with what I had because I didn't want this to take longer than necessary. So I just made it work, and there's too many numbers on that one. That's okay. The number 4 I put right in the middle of Bellatrix, and I like the way that looks. And some of the ones on the white are very subtle, and that's cool too. So again, just stapled all of those on there, and then I'm going to write my journaling out. And here, magically, the journaling is all written, and now I've also stamped the date for each picture, and now I'm just filling in the leftover spaces with some of those black word stickers, and then a few of them will get little chipboard phrases as well. And I like the way that fills it in. It's not super clean or anything like that, but I like the way it ends up looking. It's just kind of like a free form look. And I think that those journaling cards turned out really cool. I saved my file so that I could print them again because I really like them. And I could see myself using them in Pocket Pages on the future for sure. I haven't used the physical, what is that called? The physical screen print thingy yet. But I really liked the digital one. It was cool. And I really liked the way that they paired together. And when they printed out, they looked really awesome. So half of these are going on one side of the page protector and the other half on the other side. And I'm just trying to pick out some of the phrases that match the story that I'm telling on each card. And I did, even though some of the stories filled up most of the space, I was able to stick at least one of the black stickers on each one. Some of them had 3, some of them had 2. And then some of them also had the chipboard pieces. So I'm happy with the way that turned out. So now I am just going back, and I'm going to add a few of these stickers elsewhere. So I added one to the very front page with my journaling. Okay, so I wanted to show you just how this ended up, and sorry for the glare. There's lots of page protectors. So I just ended up adding 2 small things to this layout. I didn't feel like it needed a lot. I really wanted just the wands to stand out. So just something to balance all of this empty space, and that bright circle does the trick for me there. And then across from it will live this page, which has 3 of the speech bubbles and 1 of the chipboard words as well as this digital stamp that's printed onto the page. And I really like the way that ended up looking as well. And then we turn it over and we have a lot of words. So this I typed out. The rest is handwritten, which I'm totally fine with. Here I pulled something from Allie, which is to just draw a square and draw some lines. They aren't perfect, and that's fine. I don't know that the next chapter really works for what I wrote here. I maybe should have done please read, but I liked the scale of next chapter better, and I'm fine with it. And so I just listed some lessons that I learned from Harry Potter, and then I dated this today's date because that way I know when I wrote this. Now, as far as all of these photos go, so these photos were taken throughout the years, and they are different things that we've done or that we do that Harry Potter, is in our lives. And so I decided to date these ones on the day that the photo was taken or the day that the story takes place. So for example, I talked on this one about the hand-carved wands, and that takes place we got the wands on January 26, 2011, so that's the date I put there. This one, I hand-lettered this on the date that Alan Rickman died, so I put that date here. So that's kind of how I decided to do that. So this ends up being basically 3 pages, and I think there's room if I wanted, to, I could add to this story with more pages in the future if I decided to do that, and I would just stamp the new date and then maybe move these in my album to the most recent date. But I really enjoyed this process, and I just love that I've said it before, and I'll say it so many more times, I'm sure, but these story kits have really changed the way that I scrapbook and the way that I think, and they're prompting me to tell deeper stories. Now, these are the kinds of stories that if I were just going off of my photos, I wouldn't have told this story because my photos don't have all of the things that I need. I took some photos to make this layout. Now, I took these photos long ago, but I never used them for anything. And so I'm really appreciative for the fact that these kits help me to think harder and to tell my story. So you can find details about this layout, and you can find close-up photos over on my blog at CraftyJenSchow.com, as well as this will be in the design team gallery on Allie's blog. I'm not sure exactly when that will happen, but on AllieEdwards.com, it'll be in the gallery there. And I have a lot of stuff left over from the physical kit, and as well as obviously the digital kit I can use over and over again, but to tell more stories about reading, and I have lots more stories to tell. So, but this one was the one that was pressing, and the one that I for sure wanted to make sure that I got down. So thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if this has been a little bit long, but this was a long story I needed to tell. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you very soon. So here are some close-up photos, and you'll notice that I added a little tab to that middle page, and I just added a black sticker to each side of that. One of them says favorite book, and then the other side says magic with a little star, and I really like that little addition there. Again, you can find these kits on AllieEdwards.com, and I know that the Read Story Kit is on waitlist, but you can always get the digital kit, which is very useful, as you can see here. Thanks so much for watching again, and we'll see you soon.